Alright, and I am back. It has been some time for me, not so much for you guys. I've been working on the BMW. The right rear window regulator had to be replaced. I'm also doing the vapor barrier resealing, and now since I have to do that on this left rear door as it's leaking down into the floorboard, I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate that process. Now, there are other people that have done this online. I experienced some problems as I was reading through the forums and watching videos, so I just wanted to go through and show you guys what I am doing. Maybe it's a little bit more clear for you guys as you tackle this project. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started with taking this door panel off. Now there's just a few things that we need to take off before we can really just pry the door off. So we've got the plastic piece on top of the lock that's right up here. We've got a little Torx bit screw that's behind the door handle itself, and then we'll pop up the window switch. From there, we can go ahead and pry off the door panel itself, and we will get to that vapor barrier. So let's go ahead and tackle those things. Okay, so first up, like I said, is just the little plastic bit on the lock, and this just kind of screws off like so. Boom. Next up is down here in the handle itself. You're gonna have a little plastic tab that you need to pop up. So I've got a little flathead screwdriver and a rag because I don't want to scratch the plastic. I just kind of want to work in there. Pop it out, boom, got it, set it off to the side, and inside you will see the little Torx bit. Now I'll go ahead and read out what it is. Alright, there it is. It is a 20 tooth, or a 20, sorry, not 20 tooth. So we'll go ahead and pop that in. Let me find where I put my ratchet. Okay, I found my ratchet. Okay, so now we have the screw out as well. Set that off to the side, and now you can see that the handle itself is pretty loose. Now we're going to go ahead and take our little plastic pry tool here, and we can just kind of work it around the door. Alright, so I was prying the door off and I completely forgot to take out the window switch, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to try it with the cloth. I found that the cloth does make a little bit of a difficulty to pop this out as I had taken it off on the other side, so we're going to go ahead and try and take it off. Okay, so once you have it popped out, go ahead and disconnect the wires on it, and you can just set the switch off to the side. Now, I had already popped all the clips off and was tugging on this. Now, you want to try and like pop off the door and then weasel the door handle back through the hole. So now that we have all of this disconnected, the door should fairly, or the door panel should be fairly easy to get off. There we go. It kind of lifts up off of these little tabs in the back. Okay, so now we can feed the door handle back through. And then you want to be careful because there are some wires that are still attached. Okay, now I should have mentioned this prior to really starting the job, but some models do have a rear airbag. Now it's best to disconnect the battery just in case the airbag were to deploy under some strange circumstance, but as you're disconnecting that electrical connection, you just want to be safe. So I'd recommend disconnecting the battery. When we do take this out, it's going to throw a code up on the dash that you from what I know, have to go to BMW or have a BMW scanner in order to clear, but we'll see as we cross that bridge in the future. Here is one of the electrical connections for this upper little speaker, which is right here, boom. And then we have, this is the window switch, or the window switch. We're gonna pull that out, maybe. My goodness. Okay, there it is. It's hard to do with one hand. And then there's also a light down in the bottom of the door that we will just pop on out. Alright, so I've removed the door panel, as you can see, and I would just want to show you guys all of the electrical connections. So here is the light that's in the bottom portion of the door panel. This here is the window switch connection that you'll probably have to pull through the door panel. No big deal. And then this is the connection right here for the upper speaker in the door panel. And we'll get to the airbag here in a second with disconnecting it. But I wanted to show you guys the inside of the door panel, because if you're going through this job, this is something that you're also going to be seeing. You notice all of this dirt and grime that's on the underside of, or the bottom of this door panel, and that's mold and dirt that has built up due to standing water or moisture down here in the bottom of this door panel. And you can see it's really taking its toll. There's a little crack in the door panel. As I was prying these little plastic clips off, I could hear the door panel kind of crumbling as I was trying to take it apart. You can also see the moisture in there, and just the poor glue that BMW used to put this side pocket in the door has failed, so I'm going to have to re-glue that as well. Now, this is just something that I'm wanting to show you guys, because this might be something that you're going to go through. If your door is severely damaged, you might need to look into buying a new door or a new door panel for your E39. Alright, now we are going to move on to the airbag. Now, if your car doesn't have an airbag, you can just skip through this, but you're going to have a little electrical connection on the side of it. Again, make sure that your battery is disconnected, and then you're going to have 3 bolts holding them on, and I'm pretty sure it's a 10 mil. I have the 10 mil here, so I'm hoping it's a 10 mil. Bingo! It is a 10 mil to get those off. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this electrical connection off and then run these 3 out, and the airbag will come off of the door. Change of plans. I'm just going to take the airbag off and then undo the connection. Alright, so there you go. There's the airbag pulled off, and this really ridiculous connection. Okay, so to get this connection off, you just kind of like pull on it. I should have remembered from the other door that I did, but you just kind of pull up on the side, and it should kind of pop off, or pop out. Boom. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so you just kind of work it off from the side, and it'll just kind of pop out. Alright, so let's go ahead and set this off to the side. Alright, now that we have all of that out of the way, the next step is to remove the vapor barrier itself. Now, I want to go ahead and show you guys. So here is that sealant, and you can see up top it's already failed. It's pulling away from the sheet metal, and you can see it's really easy to just kind of pull off. Over here it was already very separated from the barrier and the sheet metal, and then down here on the bottom you can notice all of this dirt that is down here on the bottom portion of the door, and sure enough, this vapor barrier has separated away from the sheet metal, so you can see where all of that water was coming in and probably sitting in the door, and just leading to all that buildup and then eventually ending up inside of the vehicle. Alright, so now we're going to pull the barrier off, and it's relatively simple. You're just going to just peel this thing off. You're not going to really reuse the sealer. We're going to want to peel all that off. We do want to reuse the barrier though, so be careful when pulling it off that you don't tear it or rip it for that matter. Gee whiz. Alright, and so that is our vapor barrier. I'm gonna go ahead and set it off to the side. Alright, now that we have the barrier out of the way, we want to go ahead and clean up this surface a little bit from all of this goo. Now, I've already done this on the right rear door, and it is a very messy process, but we're just going to go ahead and peel off a little at a time and kind of use that glob to you know, pull off even more of the sealer. Alright, now I've got the door all cleaned up from all the sealer that was on it, all but just a little bit on this side, which I think is going to be okay. Now I've also picked up some of this butyl tape, I think is how you pronounce it. It's just like a double-sided adhesive tape, and I've got a whole roll over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and where that sealer used to be, I'm going to lay this down, and then I'll run over it with some sealant and put the vapor barrier back in. Alright, now I finished putting the tape on. You can see it just does a perimeter outline of where that vapor barrier is going to sit. Again, it's just where the original sealant was. Now I'm going to go by with some just all-purpose sealer. I've seen other people have used this to put over the tape to help seal off any moisture from leaking through. So I'm going to go ahead and lay a bead all the way around. Okay, now I've laid my bead of the silicone, and I now have the vapor barrier, and I had to go by, just like the inside of the door, I had to go by and remove all of the sealant that was on the inside of the vapor barrier. Now I found that the easiest way to get it off is to actually have it in a colder room where it isn't, it's not gonna get as stringy as you pull it off. I feel like the hotter that it gets, the stringier and messier it is. So I brought this inside where it was a lot cooler than being out in this Georgia heat, and I was able to peel it off a lot easier. So now I'm just going to go ahead, line it up on the door, and set it into place so that this can dry. It takes just about a few hours to dry. Do remember to have all of your wires outside of the vapor barrier. Alright, now I want to go ahead and put in the airbag, and that'll just help to kind of cinch up this vapor barrier to the door itself as it dries. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Remember, it's just 3 10mm bolts. And you can go ahead and plug the airbag wire back in. Now for my door panel, I actually had it begin to separate on me, so I went by and I laid a bead of glue underneath this little piece of, it's like cardboard material, so in between that and the outer portion of the door panel, and then I went by with some clamps and clamped it all off. So now it's all glued together. I re-glued that pocket on there, so this panel is ready to be installed. Alright, now we've got the door panel back over here. The sealant for the vapor barrier is all nice and dry. I've already made the electrical connections. Remember, you've got the speaker up top, you want to put the window switch wire back through the door, reconnect your airbag, as well as the light on the bottom of the door. Now I find it easiest to go ahead and install the door handle onto the cable, and then as we set this door panel onto the wall, you're going to want to start from the top, line up the window lock and then all of these little metal tabs with the door, and then we're going to pull the door handle through the hole in the door panel. So let's go ahead and line that up and see if we can get it squared away. Alright, so now we've got the door panel on with a little bit of finagling there. So now we want to go ahead and snap the door together. We'll reinstall our screw along with the cap, reinstall the window switch, and then the little plastic cover for the lock. Alright, and so that is pretty much it. Now all we need to do is reconnect the battery, test out the window, make sure that the lock works, and that the light down below on the door also comes on when the door is opened. Okay, so now we have finished up the door panel. The door opens. We can work the window itself. It goes down and back up. Don't know if you can see, but down here the light does work for the door, so we know that that electrical connection is good. I've yet to test this speaker. I'm sure that it probably functions just as it should. Now, just a few tips that I could give you guys if you're trying to fix your own BMW door panel. Make sure you have the sealant and plenty of it, because you're probably going to also have to reseal your door panel as it's probably separating. Along with that, you probably want some clamps. Needle nose pliers were very beneficial to pull the electrical cable out for the window switch, and another pair of hands would always be nice when working on a 20-year-old BMW. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment on what car you are doing this work to, and I will catch you guys in the next one.